Be bold.
Be bold.
Be heard.
Be heard.
Welcome to
Every Story Matters
with your host, Jessica Bell.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Every Story Matters. Today, I have my cousin with me. Her name is Martine. I'm super excited about what she's going to share with us today. So, Martine, if you could just introduce yourself, let us know a little bit about you. And I'm just excited to hear from you. Thank you so much for deciding to come on my show today.
No problem. Thank you, Jessica. And hello to all viewers and listeners out there. My name is Martine Quartey. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I'm a side hustler. And I'm also a best-selling author. My book is Journey to Greatness. And I'm a speaker. I'm also the founder of our Back to Our Roots tour, Ghana, West Africa. And I'm also the co-host of a radio show, local radio show here, 95.7 FM, The Boss, and the host of my online Facebook show called The Entrepreneur Show. I work with small business owners, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, network marketers, nonprofit leaders in this community, authors, speakers, to help them reach more clients, potential clients, with the assistance of live streaming, and to help them make more money in their business. So I'm so happy to be here tonight or today to just hang out with you guys and talk a little bit about starting a business.
Great. Thank you so much. So you listed a lot of stuff that you do. That's a lot of things to have your hand in. So can you tell me a little bit about how you got started with that, how you maintain a schedule when you have your hands in so many different things?
Sure, absolutely. I've actually started getting started as far as having a business way back in my 30s. I'm now in my 50s, early 50s. And so I started with a daycare, in-home daycare that was really successful. And then I went back to corporate America to work. And so fast forward to 2016, I still had that entrepreneur itch. And so I decided to start a business in 2014, I would say. While I was working, I left my 9-to-5 back in 2016. So 2 years prior, I built 2 businesses simultaneously while working my 9-to-5. So one business is a African boutique. So it's called S&M African Boutique. And then I also built S&M Tours, which is a group. We take groups to Ghana, West Africa. So I built those 2 businesses, launched them, ran them for 2 years before leaving my 9-to-5, because I wanted to eventually leave my job and run full-fledged businesses on my own. And so with the assistance of my husband, we were able to do that. And so I left and I started, going full time with those 2 businesses, and they're very, very successful. I still have those businesses today. It's 2020 now, right? So from the time that I launched or left my 9-to-5 in 2016, running those 2 businesses, I had more time to devote to them, and then also start other businesses. So I have an online beauty supply business now, which is my most recent launch. Black-owned business, beauty business supply store, which I'm so excited about, given these times right now. I'm also, a year ago, I wrote a book. I joined a project. It was a collaboration, and I actually should get my book out right here. It's called Journey to Greatness. It is, if you can see that, it is a collaboration anthology of 18 different authors, and I have chapter 6, which talks about my journey from my 9-to-5 to entrepreneurship. So I'm so excited. This is a bestseller book. So we're so excited that we were able to make that a best-selling book. Yes. And so I'm also a speaker, which, writing this book actually opened up doors for me to speak. I was very comfortable with that anyway, because I'm a part-time teacher at a local college here. And so I'm used to being in front of the audience and talking. And even with my show, I mentioned earlier, I have a Facebook live show called The Entrepreneur Show. So I'm used to I'm on the opposite side. Is I'm usually interviewing entrepreneurs and small business owners. So this was exciting for me to be on the other end and be interviewed. And so writing my book kind of opened up doors for me as far as having more platforms to speak on. And in fact, there was an organization that reached out to me because I was promoting my book and talked about my journey from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship. And an organization, it was a sorority, the Delta. Shout out to the Deltas. They have a annual, and this is here in Omaha. They have an annual event fundraiser called the Side Hustle Saturday, and that was perfect for me because that's what I always talk about on my shows is starting a small business, starting a side hustle. And so I was the keynote speaker for that event. And so because I was, promoting my book, a lot of people didn't know other things that I do. And so, and especially with me being a new author, new best-selling author, that was the connection and just, and things of how things work. If you start one business, it leads you to another business, and it leads you to another business. And so, like you mentioned, I mentioned a lot of different things, and that's what entrepreneurship is all about. There are people that start businesses, and that's what we do. And so it's just been a really great journey, great ride, because it kind of took off. In 2016, it just took off, and I started other businesses. I'm also a 18-year tax professional. So I do individual and small business tax preparations. So we've been busy. We're actually still in the tax season because of all of the COVID-19 and IRS extending the filing deadlines. It's now July instead of, it's usually in April, right? So July 15th will be the cutoff. So I'm still preparing taxes. And then also I'm an 9-year now landlord. So I've been a landlord for 9 years. Flipped my home and went into the Airbnb business, which was phenomenal. Took off. So I do a lot of things. And then also on Thursday nights, which is, we're doing this tonight, we're interviewing tonight. I have a show on Facebook Live about 9:45 p.m. called Side Hustle Night School. So I'm teaching out there for free every week to individuals that are interested in starting their own business, starting a side hustle. We talk about how you should, form your business. Should it be an LLC? We talk about just different strategies, how to use live streaming to reach your audience, leverage that to make more money in your business. So I'm just having a great time because one thing I'm saying a lot, very busy. I also coach. I'm a business coach as well, which I didn't mention earlier. So I do coach small business owners. Whatever they're doing, at whatever level they are in their business. Maybe they're brand new, getting started, and they're still kind of dabbling with the idea of so product development. I help them with that. Maybe they're already starting out and they've already been running their business, but now they want to use social media to kind of help bridge the gap for those, for not being on social media, which I believe every business should be on social media. And so, and just kind of help people with different aspects of their business. So I'm excited to be here and just kind of talk more about what I do.
Thank you so much. And yeah, so my question is, so like you said, you have a ton of stuff on your plate, but it's all things that you own. And those are things that those are your passions. Those are your babies. So how was the transition going from having a 9 to 5 to going to where you're owning your own business? And what made you decide to do that? Because there are a lot of people who just work 9 to 5s their whole life, and that's just what they choose to do. So what was it inside of you that made you say, I want something more, I want to own my own businesses?
That's a great question, Jessica. Thank you for asking that, because I know a lot of people are probably at that point where they don't know how to go from 9 to 5 to starting their own business or running their own business. And I would say start it first before you leave your 9 to 5, because you need to make sure that you can still bring in enough income to pay your bills and things like that. It's a decision that you have to make, and it has to be strategic. So that's the first thing I will say about that. I didn't just leap and leave my job. And like I said earlier, I ran the 2 businesses 2 years before I left. So I knew, that I needed to get it at a certain level to where I could still pay my bills. But the reason why I was so adamant about starting a business is because I was tired of working a 9 to 5. I was tired of working for someone else. I was tired of making someone else rich and their dreams and their passions, right? So I wanted to start my own. I wanted to run my own, and I wanted to be in control of my income, because we know when we work a 9 to 5, our income is capped. They're only going to pay you whatever that job, they feel that job is worth. You're so much, worth so much more. And so when you're running your own businesses, the sky is the limit as far as your income potential. So that was another reason. And then another reason, being in control allows you to do more things out here in the community or spend more time with your family. Right now, we're going through a civil unrest in our country. And so having a 9 to 5, and then the pandemic, along with the pandemic, we're quarantined into our homes. A lot of people, can work from home now. That's been a possibility. But now, because of safety and just trying to keep everyone healthy, a lot of jobs have kind of flipped over and pivoted and allowed some of their employees to work at home if it's feasible, if it's something that they can do. But there's other people that have like blue collar jobs that can't work at home. They can't do their job at home. A lot of our service providers and things like that. And so it's really difficult to be able to have that flexibility. And so I knew with the type of businesses that I'm running, I could work these jobs literally anywhere in the world. I could be on the beaches of the world, as we always say. In my travel business, we could be on the beaches of the world and still run my business. I have a small team, because as we grow as a small business owner, we know that we can't do everything. We can't wear all the hats, because I'm wearing the marketing hat. I'm the buyer of our products. I'm the advertiser. I'm promoting. I'm connecting. Managing social media. The back end of the office with all of the paperwork and the taxes and accounting and all of that. Has to be done. And so usually as a small business owner, it's us. We're a sole proprietorship, right? So it's just us. But you have to eventually build a team in order to grow. I had taken my businesses as far as I could go when I was working my job, my 9 to 5. And I knew that in order for me to grow it to the next level, I had to leave, because we're giving 40 hours a week to this job. It doesn't leave a lot of time for us to work our side hustles, right? So I knew that I needed to do something, or my business is just kind of stagnant. So it catapulted when I left my 9 to 5. I had so much more time to develop it to where I really wanted to go. And then I started, more businesses after that. I was able to kind of invest in myself. And I will say, you have to be organized, you have to be disciplined, and you have to be hungry for this. It's not easy being a small business owner. It's not easy, trying to create something, especially from scratch. Some of these businesses I created it from scratch. And so, it just takes a lot of work, a lot of discipline. I wouldn't say it's easy, because it's not. There's been moments where, we've had some tough times, especially, with the COVID. I was able to pivot. We had a brick and mortar. We closed down our boutique, but the boutique has always been online as well. So I didn't miss a beat with that. I didn't, my other businesses, even tax preparation. I'll give you an example of that. I can do taxes virtually. So I don't have to have people come to me, if they're, just kind of fearful or just want to make sure they stay safe. We have to think about our families that we're coming back to and all that good stuff. And we don't want to pass on the virus. But I was able to do taxes, to prepare taxes virtually. So I haven't felt the impact that a lot of other people may have felt financially due to COVID-19, because I've been able to pivot. And so, like I said, I haven't missed a beat. The money's still coming in, and I'm still, I started another business in the midst of a pandemic, right? So that's incredible. This is huge, because a lot of people have either lost their jobs, they've been furloughed over, maybe their hours have been cut. And so if you don't have a plan B and C, you're pretty much stuck. And so that's why I always talk about, when it comes to starting a side hustle, starting a small business, that's your plan B. That's your plan C. Because if we would just relied on these 9 to 5s, you never know what could happen. They could walk in and say, sorry, we don't need your services anymore. And then do this COVID-19 kind of threw everybody for a loop, and they've lost their jobs involuntarily, just because of the pandemic. It wasn't that their jobs wanted to let them go. It was because we're trying to stay healthy, and so are you ready? Are you prepared? And so it's always been a passion of mine to coach other individuals to start their own side hustle. Use your talents that you have, that you learned on your job. You done gave them all your life, your 40 hours a week. You better use some of that training that they gave you, that they paid for, all of that knowledge, and spin it and turn it into your own business. If it's something that you like to do, turn it into your own business. So utilize your current skill sets that you have and start a side hustle, start a business, and bring in extra streams of income for your family, for yourself, for your family, so that you're in more control and position to pivot if necessary, kind of like what we had to do with the whole COVID thing. But again, it's just being, Jessica, it's just being organized and being prepared and being hungry. Do your research, and if you want it bad enough, you'll figure out a way to start this business.
That's what I was going to ask when you mentioned the pivot. What are some ways that you can kind of foolproof your business? So I know that that there's no way to say 100% that your business will automatically be successful, right? But like in the times, like you were saying, you even started a business in the middle of a pandemic, when a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, were closing down, or people were really struggling for money or trying to get loans. So how were you able to either create that pivot, and just, if you could just kind of explain that a little bit, like, because I know since you have your hand in a lot of different things, I know that you really know business. And so when you're creating your business, you have to know that times can happen. Like even now, just with like you said, the civil unrest and everything that's happening in the world, a lot of people are looking now towards Black-owned businesses, and they're trying to support those kind of things. So what are some pivots that people can kind of create early on, like a plan B or C, that will set you up for if something happens in the world that you might not be predicting?
Right. Great question, Jessica. One industry that I want to use as an example, because I coach a lot of business owners in just several industries across the board. So I know, and then with my businesses, they're in different industries. So I know a lot about how to pivot and stay in the game. So one industry that I will use as an example today, and they've definitely been hit hard, is our service industry, our barbers, our stylists, our estheticians, our nail techs. Okay, especially as the Black community, we spend a bazillion dollars with those individuals and those business types. So one way that they could have pivoted, if they were thinking ahead, having the mindset that if I could not provide this service, if I could not cut hair, how can my business stay in the game and still make money? So what they could have done, and I know some individuals, some barbers and stylists and estheticians stayed in the games because they were able to flip and pivot over to online training, like an academy, because the doors were closed. The cities were shut down. They could not open their doors for business. So of course we can't give a haircut. We can't do nails over the internet online. So what do you have to do? Right now, we're in a situation where we're in an informational session. So people are looking for information. That's the best way to make money, is if you can deliver information. And what I mean by that, as it pertains to this particular industry that I'm talking about, barbers, hairstylists, estheticians, nail techs, is that now you have to teach people what you know. Okay, it's no different from me being an online business coach. I'm teaching people how to run businesses, how to start businesses. Teach people what you know how to do. So teach people how to, cut hair. Teach people how to do nails. I see it all the time. There's many, many different online academies that these service providers could add and leverage and add to their business until the doors open back up, if they haven't but still, it also scales their business. So now, not only can you accept people, into your barbershop or into your nail tech salons, now you have an online course so people can learn online from the comforts of their home. And then when they're ready to do the hands-on part of the training or the course, they could come into the facility and finish that part out. But that's another way that they scaled their business, but they stayed in the game during this whole COVID thing and being quarantined into the home, as they were able to launch their courses and hold online classes. And they're charging, and receiving money. So that's their income. They're still able to. And these courses are full-fledged licensed. You get your license. They're going according to their state's mandate in the beauty, with the health department and so forth, as it pertains to industries like that, beauty industries. But they were able to pivot. And this is the one industry I really, just kind of thought about it, was just so concerned about, because a lot of them, they're not used to teaching, right? So I can cut your hair, but I can't tell you how, but just thinking about that, and maybe partner with someone that has a teaching background that can put the curriculum together, and then they can run it together if they wanted to. So it's just thinking outside the box, Jessica, when it comes to running a business, and just making sure that if you could not accept people into your storefront and provide a service, and this goes for real estate agents, it goes for individuals that sell life insurance, medical, home insurance, whatever it is, those service type industry jobs, right? It goes for them as too. Then you could teach people online and use live streaming to do it. And you can have a platform. There's platforms where you can run your academies for just your students, and they get access to the material. They can watch the videos, and you can do, have videos of yourself talking. So there's just so many ways, but that's just one industry where I really felt that if they just had been, more kind of ahead of the game mentally, and just ask yourself, if I couldn't do this anymore, how can I still make money for my business? How could I still be in the game? So that's a really great question. And I, challenge anyone that's in that position where they're providing, a service, right? That you start an online academy or a school or something, teach people what you know. Again, people are hungry for information, and they will buy. If they're trying to be nail techs, they would love. I mean, it's no different than going to college, right? There's courses galore in college. So why wouldn't your academy be one of those courses that people could take? Set it up just like a class you would take, at a college, a local college or a university. So it's I just think that people just need to think more proactively and get things set up and protect your business. That's your baby. You've invested in yourself, and put in a lot of money to get this started. So protect it. It's kind of like insurance. You know what I mean? But no, I just love talking about that particular group or industry, because there's so much more they could have done. I know a lot of people are hurting financially that are in the service providing field, and they just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I definitely think that is that's a big part of it. And I love that you said that, thinking proactively, so that you're not waiting until the next pandemic or something happens, and then you're trying to run around and create an online program or something like that, but you've already have it created. I know I work with a lot of youth in development, and our industry was hit extremely hard because schools closed. And so my everyday job was going into schools and running summer camps and going into juvenile detention centers. And that immediately stopped when COVID happened. And so everyone was running around trying to figure out how to create an online program that we can do over Zoom. And so I definitely know, like, the benefit of, if we would have already had that in our arsenal, we could have just said, oh, well, let's just use our online program. So thinking ahead is amazing. And so I know we could probably talk for like hours on these different topics, but if you could just close out by talking to, specifically for me, so I have a heart for youth. I have a lot of young people who I mentor and I talk to who want to start their own business, but maybe just don't know the basics. So what would you tell somebody who's listening today who just, they have no idea where to start? They're just kind of like, I just know I don't want to work for somebody, but I don't really know where to go from there. What are some tips that you can give them to just kind of help them get on the right track to becoming an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. And I love working with new entrepreneurs that are just getting started. That's kind of where I like to come in at in their journey to entrepreneurship. I would say look internally of your passion, because it's one thing to kind of jump out there and just want to sell stuff just so you can make a quick buck. But how long is that going to last? How long is that fever, that interest is going to last? So look inside, find out and do an assessment. Find out what you like to do. What is it that you're good at? Leverage some of the skill sets that you have, that you enjoy doing, because you might be working for someone, but you wouldn't turn that into your own business because you don't really like that, but it pays the bills, right? I get that. And so I would look inside and find out what it is that you're good at and that you're passionate about. Okay. And study the market, study other businesses, similar businesses, because that's one way that you can kind of get an inside track of how that industry is running. So you have to answer a couple of questions. You have to answer, is there a need for my idea, whether it be a service-based idea or a product, or if you're trying to invent a product or resell a product? Is it a need in the community? And then also, is it serving a pain point? Because that's another thing. If you're intending for this to really be a successful launch in your business with your idea, is it going to solve a pain point that people are having? Because people are looking for answers to their problems. And the one way to be successful and launch a business is to find out a way to solve their problems. Okay, so I would say if you can come up with an idea or a concept or business concept that does those two things, you're passionate about, and does it serve a problem, a pain point in someone's life? Is it something that the community wants? And then there's several different stages, and then you have to move that process to the next level, where you're going to be testing it out in the market. A lot of entrepreneurs, small business owners, side hustlers want to skip this part. They want to just start selling and think they're in business, and then wonder why it fails. Because we know the majority, I would say 70% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, because they didn't plan successfully. They skipped this research process, this level of process, where you have to literally get out and ask people, what do you think of what do you think of my idea? What do you think of my product? Do you think this t-shirt is catchy? What's the first thing that you think about when you see this t-shirt? So you're out there, going out into the market. This is people. You're testing them. You're kind of testing your product and asking them, what do you think this is something that would sell? And I say you could ask your family, but they're kind of, they're not as biased. Because they already know you, they know all the bad things you did. And so, so just go out and ask, some of your maybe friends or even strangers, if you need to, or maybe you're in a networking group, and you just don't know the individuals like that, and they don't know you as well. Then you can still ask them, because especially ask people that are in business. I would say run and find a mentor. Run with somebody that's been in business, because it's one thing to ask people, what do you think? I've got an issue I'm trying to launch. What do you think I should do? To people that have never been in business before, that don't know things that you need to look out for when you're trying to launch or even get through the product development stage. So I would say find a mentor, someone that has done what you're trying to do. Because remember, everything has been done. There's nothing new under the sun. So someone has already gone through this path. So we're not out here trying to recreate the wheel. We don't have time for that. We're trying to get our businesses, our ideas. We're trying to serve our passion, because that's what makes us happy in life, right? So we don't have a whole lot of time. So you want to get with people that you can run with, that see your vision, that can catapult you to the next level, or point you in the direction of who you should connect with. Because sometimes it's a person that's getting us to the next person that's going to make the difference. And so I would say just keep all of those things that I've just said in mind as you're trying to, develop your passion. Kind of, it's your baby. You're trying to make it grow, and you want it to grow legs so that it can turn into a full-fledged business. And then you're going to be off and running. But don't skip that critical part of testing out the market and making sure it's a viable idea that could grow legs and ultimately make you money, right?
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you deciding to come on today, and you gave us so many good, important tips. I'm going to list Martine's social media information so that you guys can reach out to her if you have any more questions, because she definitely knows way more about this than I do. And I really appreciate you. I love you. And until next time, you guys, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you for viewing Every Story Matters. Be sure to tune in next time when Jessica takes her mic off mute as she continues her journey to find stories that inspire and uplift our communities.